let me clear something up, and this ties into everything I just said that we're talking about. Okay, this is Domer guy, by the way. So I just wanted to clear up something. I chatted in your show a few weeks ago, and what I meant by sell your soul to the devil. Okay, I think it was taken out of context by you a little bit, but it's okay. I didn't fully explain myself. So, I'm an avid college football fan.
And by the way, I do remember.
And I know that NIL,
I remember exactly what you're talking about. I'm with you. I'm following. I know that exact interaction. I'm following you. Okay.
I'm an avid college football fan. I know that NIL is perfectly legal, and I'm okay with NIL. And sell your soul to the devil, I'm alluding to ND joining the conference and pay for play, okay? I want Notre Dame to compete for national championships and even win national championships as much as the next diehard fan. But as a fan, I don't want Notre Dame to have to play this game where they have to pay for top 30 players' entourage to tag along with them on official visits, or to have to pay a fee to get a top 30 player on an unofficial visit.
Yeah.
I personally hate on NIL.
So where does that leave us?
I personally hate it.
Where that is the big frustration. Where does that leave Notre Dame? That is very tricky. Where does it leave you then? Because you want to be able to compete, but you're going to do it your way. And how are you going to keep up? And then are they just going to keep telling us championships are the goal every year, but we're seeing that they're not doing what the teams doing that are? How long are we all supposed to believe that before we admit we're more of an academic place now because we can't play? We're not comfortable playing the games these teams are playing that are winning. Like where do we go from that point, man?
Okay, so let me ask you something. Do you want Notre Dame to pay for play, yes or no?
No, I want them to do legal NIL to the point that it at least makes some guys think about Notre Dame as opposed to jumping for pay for play just to sign your money. But I think that if Notre Dame was able to build a robust, awesome, high-level public NIL deal with like Mercedes, I'm talking things that move the needle. Brand names in America, move the needle NIL stuff that has big picture recognition, not the Waffle Hut, the diner in South Bend with the sign falling off of it, talking high level stuff here. Perfectly legal, high level, classy companies build out something for that. And then you're not going to do pay for play, but you're at least offering things that have real appeal in a way that we don't right now. I would be fine with that. And that would tell me Notre Dame's really trying to at least be in the game. And I don't believe that's going on now, not to the level I want.
I believe you're right. I believe that our NIL collective could be doing better things and more things.
Because the problem is, but the problem I have is people are saying, John, even if you did a great NIL program, if you're not doing the pay for play and paying for the recruiting entourage and all that, you're still not going to get those guys. My argument is you might be right.
That's my argument.
Okay.
That's my argument.
But that's not a reason to not try NIL.
Pay for play.
But that's not a reason to not develop a great NIL program because you're worried it might not be enough. You got to push it to the limit you are comfortable with and see if it helps. That's not a reason to just give up on NIL because you're not doing the other extension of it.
What are you really doing though if you have to do both? If you let's say you get this collective get together and you got a banging NIL deal, okay? But you still don't pull the players that you need to pull. What good does that do?
Well, I don't know. But the other thing, we haven't even tried it that way. So we're getting a little ahead of ourselves because I haven't seen Notre Dame put together a real NIL program that makes them stand out in a country and be proud of the opportunities we have. So let me see that not work first. Try it that way. Instead of telling the top guys, give up all the money and the women in the cars and come do hard school work. Doesn't that sound in cold weather? Doesn't that sound like a great deal, son? At least try and be in the game. You got to at least try and be in the NIL game. And I don't mean a little rib joint in South Bend gives the offensive lineman every plate of ribs they want. That's NIL. That is a joke. I'm talking about real opportunities that move the needle.
I agree 100% with the NIL talk. I personally hate NIL, but it's legal and I accept it. Okay, and we might as well join the game or get left behind. I 100% agree with you. But let me ask you this question. I've always been an advocate of Notre Dame winning the big games because we haven't done it and we haven't tried that yet. So let's do that and let's see if that attracts these top 30
Well,
players,
we've tried it.
But
we've tried it. We try it every year. It just never works. Yeah, I know.
What I mean?
Yeah, I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm really starting to believe in my own head that even that's not enough. Let's say this year and next year we go 11-1, both years 12-0 both years. Okay, we make college football appearances. Okay, and that's already happened 2 out of 3 years. Okay, and then let's say all these competitions we're in with these elite teams like Alabama, Ohio State in recruiting. So these recruits see Notre Dame's doing well. They're beating Clemson. They're beating USC. They're beating Ohio State. Okay, but Ohio State and Alabama are all respectively doing the same thing. They're going to continue to be good. It's not like they're going to fall off the college football map. So they're still good. Okay. They're still a relevant program that's in the playoff picture along with Notre Dame. Okay. Now let's say Notre Dame says, hey, come here. We're offering you this great NIL package. They updated it. Okay. It's on par with Ohio State.
Okay.
Alabama. Let's say that. And we're winning big games. We got a great NIL package. Come here. And then Ohio State and Alabama, all they have to say is, we got all the things that they offered you, but we're going to pay you $2 million to sign too. Who? What are you going to do, John?
Yeah, that's a tough dynamic. So I've thought of all this. This is a really good discussion, very productive and frustrating, I admit. Here's my thought on that. I totally agree with what you're saying, but I think there are levels to this. And the gap in between where Notre Dame is and where those schools we're trying to reach in NIL and on-field results, there's a big gap between where we're at and where they're at in terms of NIL, what they're offering, whatever, and winning on the field. I'm not saying if we do these things, we'll be right up there with them, but you at least are going to close the gap to give you more of a chance to be in the mix for more of these guys if you, say, beat the marquee three next year. I can't measure how much, but nobody can tell me that's not going to help on the recruiting trail if you could say, we beat 3 teams favored to win their 3 different Power 5 conferences and we beat them. Like, I'm not saying we're ever going to keep up with the Joneses, because every time you think you do, the Joneses up the ante to something else that you shouldn't be doing. But I'm just saying the best you could do is be as competitive as you could be on the field, which we have not been doing a good job of, to help your cause, and utilize what you can do in NIL as much as you can. And we're not doing that either. So I almost want to tell you, I'll worry about the problem you proposed when we're in that position and I see that it isn't working. But we're not even close to me worrying about it yet because we don't have the on-field results and we don't have the NIL structure yet. So I'm almost telling you, let me worry about one thing at a time. If we do the things you and I are talking about and still can't compete, then that's a whole different discussion and it turns down a dark alley. So I'm not saying you're going to totally catch up.
Before you get on something else, let me ask you one thing here. So do you think Alabama, Ohio State, and all these elite programs, Justin Scott, for an example, because you're right, I'm not pissed off about Justin Scott. I'm pissed out about every 5-star we're losing out on.
Yeah, exactly.
Notre Dame doesn't land 5 stars, and they're the gap closing players that we need.
Yep.
It's not just Justin Scott; it's everybody.
Yep.
Okay, it's everybody that we're not getting. It's the top 5.
That's
top
how I
players.
feel. Yep.
So Alabama, Ohio State, all these elite teams, the top 30 players, and probably even beyond that. But we're just saying the top 30 players because those are the gap closing players that Notre Dame needs to be able to compete in the pecking order of elite in the college football. Okay.
Yep.
So do you think those elite programs are paying for play, the top 30 players?
I'm not going to say all of them, but there are some of them that are for sure. I cannot verify all of them, but that some of that's going on at a lot of those places. I believe that.
You know as well as I do that it is.
Yeah. I don't have.
It was before the NIL era,
I don't have individual evidence, but yes, there's enough smoke there. Yes, I believe something's going on clearly. Yeah.
So I agree with everything you said about NIL and Notre Dame getting an NIL collective together, and it's not going to hurt anything, and at least try that. I agree with that, okay?
Yeah.
But my point is you're spinning your wheels. I think you're spinning your wheels even if you do that, because if you're not going to come with pay-for-play on top of NIL, I don't think it's going to get Notre Dame anywhere.
But the other option is what? To just sit here and not even try? Like, I don't know what the other option is, man. Like, the best thing I could think of is, listen, what's not going to happen is Notre Dame's administration going, the hell with this. We're sick of not winning the last 30 years. I'm not saying don't
try. I'm saying you're either going to have to look at yourself in the mirror and say, we're either going to do both or we're just going to continue doing what we believe in.
But I think,
why put one foot in the water? Why dip one foot in the water?
Because I'll tell you why. Because I think you could thread the needle to be more competitive in some of these areas without feeling like you're crossing the line of sacrificing your values. That's what I think. I think there's a lot more flexibility they could have with, say, the undergraduate transfer restrictions. I think you could create a guardrail path to make a sophomore more likely to be able to transfer into the football team and then get caught up on credits.
Even the undergrads are getting paid money to pay for play in NIL deals. So, they're the same as recruits. High school recruits, they're still getting swayed.
They are. I guess I
still think Notre Dame. I still think Notre Dame's not going to be in on all the sought after undergrads.
Yeah, I would just feel better if let me put it this way. If I sat here and told you guys Notre Dame's doing all the stuff that I've wanted them to do in the right way and the way I think could maximize what we could get out of it, and we're just not seeing results, that's a different problem. But we are nowhere near that level where I honestly feel Notre Dame's done everything within their power to set us up to be able to compete as much as we can with whatever else is going on. I don't feel like we've even gotten near that point, that I feel like we're putting our best foot forward to compete in these areas within our boundaries, within our morals, within our value. There's a huge gap, man, between how they operate now and the line that I say, I'm not comfortable with what we're doing. Is this Notre Dame anymore? There's a huge gulf there. Push it a little bit towards the other end, and then let's see if that helps out or not. And if it doesn't, then you have a doomsday scenario. Pick a path, Ivy League or get real about football at that point. But I can't look at it that way when I don't feel Notre Dame's doing everything in their power to even try. They're not.
I'm just looking at it big picture, and if you're going to do, I think pay for play and NIL go hand in hand. And example, Justin Scott, you're not going to. I just personally believe if it's not, NIL is not going to draw. Just NIL is not going to draw a player of that caliber to your school, because he's going to be offered by multiple schools pay for play on top of great NIL deals. So,
I get that.
We can sit here until we're blue in the face.
But I get that. But what's the other alternative? To just do what we're doing and not try and have a better NIL, figuring it won't pay off?
I agree.
Like, you got to try. All you can do is try.
I agree. We have to try.
Like, the answer can't be.
We can agree on that. But
the answer can't be, I don't think it's going to matter. So don't try and build a great NIL thing to offer a guy a deal with Mercedes-Benz or Range Rover instead of the local rib joint in South Bend. Like, I don't know how much it's going to work or not, but you could try it. It can't hurt to have better, bigger opportunities with that. All I'm saying is try it.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I just don't know why Notre Dame can't see it big picture and just see pay for play being a problem.
Well, I think
with NIL.
Oh, I think they know it's a problem. I think Marcus knows it's a problem. Marcus knows more than anybody else it's a problem. I don't think Marcus does not have the ability to institute some of the things I need done to free him up to be more in the mix. He can't press that.
I don't even think Bavak was not even going to change Father Jenkins' mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. The board are just stubborn, old, rich people that I think they value Notre Dame's core values and their mission statement, and they're going to stick to that. And they're definitely not going to pay for play. And I'm not asking for them to do that, because I personally don't want to pay for play.
Yeah.
I would rather be where we're at right now than pay for play.
Yeah. Like, I do have it really does rub me the wrong way, man. Like an NIL deal where you say you can make a ton of money if you're in good academic standing, you're not getting in trouble, and you play very well. We're going to find you some great opportunities. I love that. The idea that you're just going to hand $1 million to some high school kid who hasn't proven jack shit yet on the field, it's everything wrong with America. That's what it is. It's literally everything wrong with America. That mindset, I'm totally against it. But that when money's involved, there's always going to be somebody pushing it.
Can I ask you another question?
Sure.
Do you think that NIL is ruining college football?
Let me answer this carefully. I don't think NIL is ruining it. I think the way teams are operating, calling things NIL, is ruining it. I don't think NIL on its own is ruining it, but the way it's being interpreted and the rules are being bent, the games are being played, nobody's looking into stuff to figure out what's going on. That's what I have a problem with. I don't think NIL on its own, in its purest form and definition, is doing that, but the way it's being worked with is.
What I mean by NIL ruining it is NIL opened up the floodgates.
It did, but can't we argue that the teams down south and USC, when they're good, were doing pay for play way before NIL? So wasn't this market always there? Couldn't you argue the other way, that now it lets more teams get in the mix?
True, but what?
Because before you had to do it all illegal, all bagmen. No way to get your guys' money unless it's very illegal. Bagmen, legitimately. Cars, jobs for mom, rent for mom, all of that. I was hopeful when they legalized NIL, it would help balance some of it out, because now other people could also pay. And it isn't just those boldly doing coldly illegal things. But I haven't seen that happen.
You're not wrong. And I'm going to bring up something else that's a huge issue. And it's the reason why I hate I'm going to say I hate NIL, because it opened up the floodgates to everything. And I understand that it happened before NIL came out.
Yeah.
But the transfer portal as well. Transfer portal and NIL is ruining the sport, and I'm going to tell you why. So NIL opens the floodgates with everybody is doing pay for play now, okay? Everybody's doing it, except a select few.
Yeah.
So let's say Justin Scott, he picks Ohio State, and all these players pick their school, okay? And they're getting paid, they're getting the NIL checks, they're getting pay for play. And for what? Just to go to that school for 1 year and transfer a year later?
Yeah.
That's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
I never thought that I would see the day, John. I never thought that I would see the day where the NFL is more regulated than the NCAA.
Yeah, you know what happened with this? I have a theory.
It's year-round free agency.
Here's what happened. I think all of this started with when the court system ruled that NIL was legal and that these guys had to be able to be compensated for their name, image, and likeness. I sincerely felt like I saw the NCAA totally step back, kind of wash their hands of it and go, the courts ruled on it. Now it's a free-for-all. We're not getting involved. and then backed off. And now all these ancillary issues, shady collectives, the LSU booster that siphoned out 500, what was it? $500,000 from a children's hospital to pay LSU's parents, players' parents, so they'll come there. And now he's going to prison. Like, you're getting all this stuff. I don't know. Does it level back out? Have you ever considered that maybe it gets so extreme and then the teeter-totter balances back out on that counterweight edge? Like, maybe people start getting burned paying these guys and it doesn't pan out, so they scale it back and it levels out.
That happened the first year. That happened the first year that NIL took effect. If you remember, what was it? De'Aaron King, the quarterback down at Miami when he transferred from Houston. Remember that guy?
Yeah.
He got a fat NIL check. And the dude he ended up getting beat out, or he ended up getting hurt or something like that. And there was a few players like that. What's the kid's name that is at South Carolina last year that we played against in the bowl game?
Ooh, the Rattler dude?
Rattler. He got a huge check. Remember, he was supposed to be like a Heisman candidate his second year at Oklahoma, and he got a fat NIL deal.
And then you have all the Texas A&M guys.
It backfired on him.
Remember that? How they bought that defensive line, all those 5-star defensive guys that all got that fat money, and it didn't work out for them. A lot of egos weren't on the same page. So I do wonder if things balance back out. But here's my thing, man. Notre Dame is so unique, and a lot of times their uniqueness works against them. I need people at Notre Dame, these smart people, to figure out how to make Notre Dame's uniqueness be a feature, not a bug. Figure out a way to leverage the unique positives we have when we know we're in the negative on a lot of areas. You got to highlight the positives you have. To me, one of those is Notre Dame's network of alums and money and power people at all these businesses. That is their biggest asset to try and be competitive in this market. I don't see them using that enough. That's why my position is they can't even say they're trying, because they're not utilizing their biggest weapon, which is our alumni and donor base that are power players across the country in the business world. We're not even utilizing them. So you can't even say you're trying.
You're right, because like you say all the time, Notre Dame sticks their nose in the air and they're hoity-toity about it. They're hush-hush about it. They don't like nobody to know about it, even though everybody knows everybody's doing it.
Yep.
They're definitely not using it to their full advantage.
Am I misinterpreting that? I know the way Notre Dame, it really does feel like to me that they know NIL is the modern thing. You got to allow it a little bit, but they do not want it to be like a publicly known, embraced thing that their players are getting money. I genuinely think those people think that is below Notre Dame and they don't like it. And that is holding back the aggression I want Notre Dame to go with in that direction. I feel like that's the dynamic. I'm almost certain of it. They think that's below them to do.
I don't know that for certain, but that's my impression.
So where do we go from here, man? This is a very, very good discussion, but where do we go from there? Like, what is the way out? Because just saying it is what it is, keep doing the same thing, banging your head against the wall every year isn't going to do anything either, other than make us all lose our minds. So what's the answer?
Here's the way out. In my mind.
Join the Ivy League.
A little bit ago,
join the Ivy League. Is that the way out? Is that it?
Fuck no. I hope we never join the Ivy League, dude. No. But so a little bit ago, I mentioned how I've always been an advocate and I've always pushed for Notre Dame to win the big games. And that's how you're going to drag yourself out of this recruiting narrative. And that's how you're going to draw the attention of these big top 30 recruits. You need to close the gap, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen anymore over a single year. I think Notre Dame needs to establish a dominant dynasty over a 3-4 year period. They need to start building a dynasty under a young head coach and a young, fiery head coach. They need to win 11, 12 games every year, be in the playoff every year. They need to build a dynasty that these kids want to be a part of. And if we don't change, if we don't pay, I hope we do all the things that you mentioned with NIL, because at least we try it. I personally don't think that's going to work, just the NIL. I think you need pay for play on top of it personally. But I think if Notre Dame starts building a dynasty, that could sway some top 30 players.
But how are you going to build a dynasty without all these elite players we're not getting by not doing pay for play? We're in a chicken and the egg.
Lou Holtz 1988 it.
Yep.
And you have to beat 3 or 4 teams a year that have better rosters than you.
Yep.
And you just have to be a blue collar football team.
That's it.
Who just
You're right.
Overachieves.
No, you're right. That is the only answer, because this is where I get stuck saying, win your way out of this, and then the elite guys you'll have a better chance to have their attention and interest.
It's not just 1 year though. You have to build a dynasty.
I don't think Notre Dame's not building a dynasty without elite guys. And you could say 88, but they had Tony Rice and Chris Zorich making plays, guys that couldn't get in now. So those
guys weren't elite.
How are you going to do it? Elite. How are you going to do it? How are you going to win elite. Those games without great players? You can only to coach them up so many times before you need talent.
If you remember that the years they won national titles, the year they won the national title.
I don't remember it because I was poor.
They weren't beating those teams' asses. They were barely scraping by.
Man,
they shouldn't. Cleveland Gary didn't even fumble that ball. We really shouldn't have won the Miami game.
Yeah,
but we did.
Yeah. I know, yeah, but also I could say that touchdown in the corner wasn't one either. That guy didn't have control of that ball. We got ripped off on that one.
I think the referees
balance it out.
That call.
The old balance it out trick. But listen, man,
right.
You're right though. That is the best way you could change this. But what I'm saying is that is the hardest way, because if you don't have enough of those elite guys, it's going to take a great blend of coaching guys up and motivating them and everything going right. Let me maybe close with some of this on the positive end. I'm going to go with this on the positive side. The quickest way to do what you're saying we need to do is have a truly elite star quarterback. That's it. Because it is the one position that can impact the overall output of the team more than anybody else. And
the great equalizer.
Yeah, and it could raise what's possible if you have those guys. And that I hold out hope for. That may be Notre Dame's best shot at doing this, is hitting on one of these elite guys you can grow with, and he's truly elite, like Heisman contending and electric, and makes all the wide receivers better because he can make all the throws. Like, that may be Notre Dame's best angle, because I put the odds on.
Well, don't hold your breath. I hear you holding out hope. Don't hold your breath, because when's the last time Notre Dame had one of those guys?
Right. But let me ask you this. God, this is a good conversation. This is why I got these phone lines. I love this. This is the kind of discussion I want to have. Genuine, well-meaning, and stressed out. I love it. It's right up my alley. But let me ask you, what is the more likely outcome? Notre Dame lands 8 5-stars over a 2-year period spread out on both sides of the ball, and we get that or one of your quarterbacks is elite, and then you ride with him and he's winning you game. I think it's a lot more in the odds are in your favor to get one good quarterback than have elite recruiting overall in the short term, for sure. Do you agree?
I agree. Yep.
So maybe that's the angle.
Notre Dame's just not going to. And I don't even know if Notre Dame building the dynasty is going to attract these top 30 players. I don't know if it's. I mean, it hasn't for 30 years, right? So, I mean, I don't know if that's going to change it.
I know, but wouldn't it be nice to find out? Wouldn't it be nice to find out? Like I don't know.
Hey, you know what?
I don't know.
You know what? After that, I wouldn't even really care if we got the top 30 players, because we already got our natties. So
yeah, it's
whatever.
It's a really complicated dynamic, and Notre Dame's in a tough little spot, wanting to be elite at football, wanting to hold on to their values, and where those start to diverge off the same path, it gets very, very tricky. And a discussion for another day is, not now, but another day would be, at what point do Notre Dame fans start revolting, saying to the university, you need to quit talking about championships being your goal and your expectation. You need to stop charging us championship prices while refusing to do the things it takes to make those practical realities. Like, that's the next step of this is, how many years are you not doing the things you could do to get there, but you're giving us the same line? That's a different discussion of where that frustration comes in.